Most people believe there is a simple formula to boost testosterone: lift heavy weights and your hormones will skyrocket. But what if that's only half the truth? Because yes, lifting does increase testosterone, but the real question is, for how long, and does it even matter? Because testosterone isn't controlled by one single habit, it's influenced by an entire system that we're going to see today. So in this video, we're going to break down what actually happens to your testosterone when you lift and how you can increase it based on real science. So let's answer the big question. Does lifting weights increase testosterone? Yes, it absolutely does, but probably not in the way you've been told. When you do heavy resistant exercises, your body responds by temporarily increasing testosterone. Studies have shown this acute response. For example, research published in Sports Medicine found that resistant training can cause a temporary rise in testosterone, particularly when workouts involve large muscle groups and higher intensity. Moreover, it has been shown that workouts that use large muscle groups, heavier loads, and moderate to high training volume tend to create the strongest overall response. But here is what most people get wrong. That increase doesn't last very long. It can peak for a few minutes or even a couple of hours, and then your testosterone returns to its normal level. Now, that doesn't mean these hormonal spikes are useless. Every workout sends a signal to your body saying, get stronger, build muscle, and be ready for this again. And over weeks and months, those repeated signals lead to real adaptations: more strength, more muscle, and better overall performance. So yes, lifting weights is important, but it's one piece of a much bigger puzzle, because what you do outside the gym may have an even bigger impact on your hormones than the workout itself. If there is one thing that can quietly destroy your testosterone, it's poor sleep. And the funny thing is, most people never notice it. When you train, you feel the effort, you get a pump, you sweat, you leave the gym feeling productive. And sleep doesn't give you any of that. But behind the scenes, it's doing some of the most important work in your body, because most of your testosterone is produced while you are sleeping. Think of sleep as your body's overnight maintenance mode. Every night, it repairs tissues, balances hormones, and gets you ready for the next day. Now, here is why that matters. One study found that sleeping just 5 hours a night for 1 week reduced testosterone levels by up to 10 to 15% in healthy young men, even just 1 week. So if you are sleeping badly, you are making everything else less effective. This is one of the most overlooked factors. Your body fat doesn't just store energy, it actively influences your hormones. The more excess body fats you carry, the harder it is for your body to maintain healthy testosterone levels. Why does this happen? Because fat tissue contains an enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. Think of it like a leak. You are producing testosterone, but part of it is constantly being redirected into something else. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed a strong association between higher body fat levels and lower testosterone in men. So even if you are training regularly, if your body fat is too high, you are working against your own biology. You can train hard and sleep well, but if your diet is off, your testosterone won't reach its full potential. Your body simply needs the right nutrients to produce hormones. No fuel, no production. And one of the most important pieces here are healthy fats, because testosterone is partly made from cholesterol. Cutting fats too aggressively can reduce your body's ability to produce it. In fact, one study found that men following lower fat diets had significantly lower testosterone levels than those eating more dietary fat. But fats aren't the only factor. Calories matter too. If you are constantly dieting or in a big calorie deficit for long periods, your body goes into survival mode. And in that state, hormone optimization stops being a priority. So the takeaway is simple: avoid extreme diets, don't fear healthy fats, and don't stay in long aggressive deficits. Because your body performs best when it's properly fueled, not when it feels like it's surviving. Stress is one of the fastest ways to lower your testosterone, and the worst part is most people don't even realize it's happening. Here is why. When you are under constant stress, your body produces more cortisol, your main stress hormone, and cortisol and testosterone don't work well together. As cortisol goes up, testosterone tends to go down. In other words, there is an inverse relationship between cortisol and testosterone. So even if you are training consistently and eating well, chronic stress can quietly undo a lot of your progress. This one is simple: alcohol directly lowers testosterone. A study published in Alcohol Research and Health showed that alcohol consumption can suppress testosterone production, especially when intake is frequent or high. Here is an easy way to understand it. The body treats alcohol as a toxin, so when you drink, your system shifts priorities. Instead of producing hormones, it focuses on detoxifying. And while it's doing that, testosterone production drops. Over time, frequent drinking can lead to consistently lowered levels. There is one factor you can't fully control, and that's age. Testosterone naturally declines over time. On average, levels drop about 1% per year after your 30s. Long-term studies show that testosterone levels gradually decline with age, typically starting around the third decade of life. Think of it like this. Your peak is built into your biology. You can stop the clock, but you can slow the decline. Because while aging is inevitable, how fast things decline is not. The habits we've talked about, training, sleep, diet, stress, they don't make you immune to aging, but they help you maintain higher levels for longer. Now here is the part most people don't really talk about. After everything we've covered, there is still one factor that plays a huge role in your testosterone levels: genetics. Research suggests that around 50% of your testosterone levels are influenced by genetics. Think of it like health. You can improve your posture, your physique, your habits, but you can't completely change your natural starting point. And that explains a lot. Why some people build muscle faster, why some feel more energetic, or why others respond better to the exact same training plan. It's not just what you do, it's also what you start with. But here is the important part. This is not an excuse, because genetics sets the range, but your lifestyle decides where you fall inside that range. You might not control the ceiling, but you absolutely control whether you are closer to your best or far from it. And that's where everything we've talked about comes together. Training, sleep, diet, stress, body fat, daily habits, these are your tools. If you ignore them, you'll never get close to your potential. But if you stay consistent with them, you give yourself the best possible version of what your body is capable of. So does lifting weights increase testosterone? Yes, but it's not the magic solution people think it is. Because testosterone isn't built in a single workout, it's built through your daily habits. Because as we've seen in this video, and as you can see in this study, yes, it is true that genetic influences account for a significant proportion of the variance in average testosterone level. But we must also take into account the factors mentioned above. And the real difference doesn't come from doing one thing perfectly, it comes from doing many things right, over and over again. So if you want to optimize your testosterone, focus on what actually works. If you are new here, Applied Human Lab is where science meets real results. Because most people don't lack effort, they lack the right information. So if you want to stop guessing and start understanding, make sure you subscribe and stick around for the next videos. See you soon.